Nowadays, owning a home in Florida is starting to feel like a dream you can't even chase. Imagine spending years saving, skipping vacations, cutting corners, only to show up at an open house and see a corporate investor flash a check for cash above asking. No inspection, no negotiation. That's not a rare scenario anymore. That's Florida in 2025. And the company behind it? Blackstone. Yes, the same private equity giant that sounds like something out of a medieval fortress isn't just lurking in Wall Street offices. They're quietly buying entire cities, entire neighborhoods, entire futures, and most Floridians haven't even noticed. While families were focusing on groceries, commuting, and the little victories of daily life, Blackstone was buying the Sunshine State. They're not just investing, they're colonizing. And the implications for ordinary people are staggering. To really understand what's happening, we have to start with the numbers and the human stories they hide. Let's talk about the Gulf Coast. Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Sarasota. Areas once known for retirees seeking golden years or young families looking for affordable starts. In 2025, these cities are a corporate playground. Blackstone owns over 28,000 homes just in the Tampa metro, and another 15,000 across Pinellas County. Drive through neighborhoods like Carrion or Gulfport, and you'll notice something strange. Every third house has a property management sign with the same logo, the same online application, the same corporate email address. The diversity of homeowners is gone. This isn't investment, this is consolidation. And the effect is brutal. Rents in these zip codes have increased 45% faster than surrounding areas since Blackstone started buying. Meet Miguel Fernandez, a firefighter in St. Petersburg. He saves lives, works double shifts, but can't afford to live anywhere near the community he serves. He now commutes over an hour each way because everything closer is owned by a corporation. The very people who help build Florida's communities can't afford to live in them. And this isn't just happening in one city. From Clearwater to Bradenton, the story repeats itself like a spreadsheet algorithm. But while families are priced out, Blackstone is quietly expanding into a sector few Floridians even notice: the logistics and warehouse empire. Consider Angela Morales, a schoolteacher in St. Petersburg. She's lived in her home for over a decade. She raised her 2 children there, hosted block parties, and built a network of neighbors she trusted like family. One morning, she received a notice. Her home had been purchased by Blackstone, and her rent was increasing $600 a month. Suddenly, her paycheck couldn't cover what she had already considered a stable life. Her kids now have to switch schools because the commute to affordable housing is hours long. But the Gulf Coast isn't just about people being displaced. It's also about markets being artificially inflated. Median home prices in Tampa Bay have jumped over 125% since Blackstone started its acquisitions in 2014, faster than incomes can keep up. Sarasota, once a retirement-friendly city with modest property values, has seen the same pattern. Entire subdivisions are bought in bulk at foreclosure auctions. Blackstone snapping up 50, 100, sometimes 200 homes in a single purchase.
How bad are things in Florida from a real estate standpoint? It's a small area. How many homes do you think are for sale in Little Lee County, Florida? There is over 24,000 homes for sale.
To put that in perspective, the average Floridian family struggles to save a $20,000 down payment, while Blackstone drops that amount roughly every 12 seconds. And it's not just single-family homes. Blackstone is moving into mobile home parks along the Gulf Coast, a sector that provides the last affordable housing for working families, veterans, and retirees. These aren't traditional real estate investments. They're captive markets. Most residents own their mobile homes but rent the land beneath them. When Blackstone acquires the park, lot rents can double in 3 years, leaving seniors on fixed incomes trapped between paying for housing or essential needs like medication. In Pinellas County, some mobile home lots have seen rents increase from $350 to over $800 a month after acquisition. Then there's the human toll. Mike Thompson, a firefighter in Clearwater, puts it simply, "I save lives in a city I can't afford to live in." Across the Gulf Coast, people like Mike Nurses, teachers, first responders are commuting 2 hours or more daily because the neighborhoods they serve have been swallowed by corporate ownership. Entire communities, once built around shared experiences and mutual care, are being turned into revenue streams. And yet, the story gets darker. Because Blackstone isn't just buying homes, they're shaping the future of Florida's economy. In areas like Tampa and St. Pete, rents are rising 45% faster than surrounding areas without corporate buyers, creating a housing market where wages cannot keep up. Local businesses struggle to hire workers who can afford to live nearby. Grocery stores, restaurants, and shops that rely on neighborhood foot traffic see a gradual decline. And it's all by design. These aren't unintended consequences. They're part of a meticulously planned corporate strategy. But what's next for the Gulf Coast? The same neighborhoods where families once dreamed of owning a home are becoming testing grounds for algorithmic pricing, AI-driven eviction notices, and bulk rental operations. Every new purchase feeds a system that maximizes profit at the expense of community cohesion. Drive through any suburban stretch of Tampa, Orlando, or Jacksonville, and you might see what looks like a typical neighborhood. Manicured lawns, palm trees swaying in the breeze, a few kids riding bikes. Looks normal, right? Wrong. Behind those doors, the majority of homes aren't owned by families, they're owned by Blackstone. Since 2015, Blackstone has quietly acquired over 150,000 single-family homes across Florida, including some of the fastest-growing metros in the country. To put that into perspective, while the average family struggles to save a $20,000 down payment, Blackstone spends that much roughly every 12 seconds. The result? Median home prices are soaring. In Tampa alone, prices have jumped over 130% in less than a decade. Orlando, which used to be a market accessible to middle-class families, now has a median home price of $420,000. For a family making $80,000 a year, that's not just expensive, it's impossible. Take the case of Samantha Ruiz, a single mom in Orlando. She worked 3 jobs, saved for 8 years, and finally had her down payment ready. She showed up at an open house. Gone. Cash offer above asking. No inspection. Corporate buyer. She eventually rented an apartment miles away, paying nearly half her income in rent. And she's not alone. Thousands of Floridians are being pushed out of neighborhoods they grew up in, while the houses they dreamed of are now profit centers for Blackstone. But what's happening in Tampa and Orlando is only part of the story, because Blackstone isn't just buying homes, they're buying entire ecosystems. The numbers tell a similar story. In Tampa, home prices have jumped over 130% in the last decade. Orlando isn't far behind, with the median home now $420,000, while the average household earns less than $80,000 a year. What used to be affordable middle-class suburbs are now out of reach for anyone without a Wall Street-sized checkbook. But it's not just the numbers, it's the methods. Blackstone doesn't just buy 1 or 2 homes at a time. They purchase in bulk, foreclosed neighborhoods, entire subdivisions, hundreds of homes in a single auction. In Jacksonville's suburban zones, one developer remarked that Blackstone buys like stock in cereal boxes at Costco, everything in bulk, everything at once. For families competing to buy a home, this isn't just difficult, it's impossible. The market itself has been reshaped to favor cash-rich corporations over people who actually live there. And the human impact goes beyond just displacement. When a corporate buyer moves into a neighborhood, local schools, businesses, and community spaces feel the shift. Teachers and public workers are pushed farther out, commuting longer distances. Local shops lose longtime customers who once walked down the street. Community cohesion, the invisible glue that makes a neighborhood feel like home, starts to fracture. And as we'll see later, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because while families are being priced out of homes, Blackstone is quietly expanding into logistics, hotels, and student housing, building a web of influence that touches nearly every aspect of Floridian life. Even retirees, once the backbone of Florida's suburban growth, are getting caught in the squeeze. Areas like Sarasota and Naples, known for golden year communities, are now hotspots for bulk corporate purchases. Seniors who spent decades paying off their homes find themselves competing with hedge funds, or worse, seeing entire communities converted into rental properties. Lot rents, maintenance fees, and property taxes increase, all while the same people who once dreamed of peaceful retirement find themselves forced to sell or stay and pay more than their pensions allow. This is more than just a real estate trend. This is a systemic takeover. Blackstone isn't just buying houses. They're buying control over neighborhoods, families, futures, and Florida's social fabric. And while most people are distracted by rising grocery bills or gas prices, one of the largest shifts in property ownership in modern American history is unfolding silently right under their noses. But this isn't the whole story. Florida isn't just one state. It's a collection of micro-markets with unique dynamics. Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, they all tell different stories. And once you see how Blackstone has exploited these micro-markets, you'll understand just how deliberate, calculated, and far-reaching this takeover really is. That's where the Gulf Coast gold mine comes in, a region that looks sunny and serene on the surface, but where the corporate footprint runs deeper than most realize. One of Blackstone's most insidious strategies is its algorithmic pricing of rent. Homes purchased in bulk aren't just rented. They're optimized for maximum profit. Every tenant becomes a line item in a massive spreadsheet. AI determines the maximum rent a family can pay, often pushing long-term residents out without notice. In Jacksonville, teachers and nurses report commuting hours to find affordable housing. In Fort Lauderdale, single parents are paying upwards of 50% of their income on rent for units they could have owned a decade ago. And it's not just about money, it's about control. Every apartment, every subdivision, every rental becomes a cog in a larger corporate machine designed to extract as much as possible. But Florida isn't just about families. It's about tourism, and Blackstone is quietly reshaping that sector too. From Miami Beach to Key West, Blackstone now owns some of Florida's most iconic hotels and resorts. Hilton, Motel 6, extended stays, boutique hotels. These properties are feeding the same corporate beast. During the COVID-19 pandemic, while small hospitality businesses struggled, Blackstone scooped up distressed properties for pennies on the dollar. Take the Fontainebleau in Miami Beach, an icon of luxury. Once a symbol of vacation glamour, it's now just an entry in Blackstone's spreadsheet. Service cuts, staff reductions, deferred maintenance. Your 5-star getaway often feels 3-star, all while you pay 5-star prices. And thanks to government programs meant to aid small businesses, some of these acquisitions were subsidized with taxpayer dollars. Your vacation, your dream hotel, your romantic weekend, now feeding a $100 billion empire. And hotels are just the beginning. Blackstone is also buying commercial office buildings across Florida. Downtown Miami, Tampa, Orlando, skyscrapers, office parks, and corporate towers. Blackstone owns them. Over $50 billion in Florida commercial real estate alone, including properties that define city skylines. Owning offices means controlling where companies locate, what they pay in rent, and even which neighborhoods thrive. When tech companies look for headquarters, when startups need office space, it's Blackstone calling the shots. These aren't just investments, they're power plays. And the impact is felt by everyday Floridians. Rising commercial rents can stifle local businesses, limit community growth, and push out entrepreneurs who want to find neighborhoods. And while they're influencing the skyline, Blackstone is influencing policies behind the scenes. Downtown Miami, Tampa, Orlando, skyscrapers, office parks, and corporate towers. Blackstone owns them. Over $50 billion in Florida commercial real estate alone, including properties that define city skylines. Owning offices means controlling where companies locate, what they pay in rent, and even which neighborhoods thrive. When tech companies look for headquarters, when startups need office space, it's Blackstone calling the shots. These aren't just investments, they're power plays. And the impact is felt by everyday Floridians. Rising commercial rents can stifle local businesses, limit community growth, and push out entrepreneurs who once defined neighborhoods. And while they're influencing the skyline, Blackstone is influencing policies behind the scenes. Blackstone isn't just buying property, they're buying influence. $50 million spent on lobbying in Florida alone over the past 5 years. They lobby against rent control, tenant protections, and affordable housing requirements. Laws that could give families a fighting chance? Blocked, deferred, ignored. Meanwhile, the CEO, Steven Schwartzman, enjoys a personal fortune of $40 billion, making more in 1 hour than the average Floridian earns in a year. Manhattan penthouses, Hamptons estates, Palm Beach mansions. He's untouchable, while Floridians pay exorbitant rent, sometimes more than half their income, to the very company funded by their pensions, their taxes, and even their 401ks. The American dream isn't just slipping away in Florida, it's being systematically acquired, monetized, and controlled. And unless Floridians wake up, the next generation may never know what it means to own a home, build a community, or have a fair shot at the Sunshine State. Blackstone's footprint in Florida isn't just about real estate. It's about control, power, and influence over the lives of millions. Homes, apartments, hotels, offices. They're all pieces of a puzzle most of us didn't even know existed. Families displaced, teachers commuting hours, retirees paying double for mobile home lots, parents paying for student housing they can barely afford. It's a state reshaped by corporate greed, and the average Floridian is just a tenant in their own life. The American dream in Florida hasn't disappeared. It's been bought, packaged, and traded. And while most are distracted by the small daily struggles, a silent corporate takeover is rewriting what it means to live in the Sunshine State. If you've noticed corporate buyers outbidding families, rents soaring beyond your reach, or neighborhoods slowly changing before your eyes, you're not imagining it. This is the Florida that Blackstone owns. And unless enough people pay attention, the Sunshine State may never feel like home again.